Hello, I'm Shelley Rothus, and I'm a different kind of victim. Today's topic, the difference in me. That's right, we're all different. Abnormal. Where did that word come from? All that means is against society's norms. Well, guess what? Actually, society's norms, who makes them? Ooh, ooh. People. Based on people's personal opinion. So, norm. What are considered norms? This goes along with discrimination against special needs. That's right. People who have certain special needs are seen as abnormal, when in actuality, that's just based upon a person's opinion. Most people aren't born with epilepsy, such as myself, so I'm actually seen as abnormal. Well, you know what? My personality's abnormal too. That's what the hate group was going after too, including Bleep. I don't think he's gonna like the new name I have for him as of right now. But anyways, hey, I could consider Bleep as being too normal and boring. But I just, hey, that's a personal opinion, right? Anyways, see, that's not how I am. I don't judge somebody based upon, their unique style. As long as they're, not judgmental and they're respectful to me, that's what matters to me. Okay, so I'm doing this based upon many people misunderstanding not only my style of writing, but also based upon relationships as to how people see things automatically. And most people, they do. So this goes back to even sloppy, hypocritical ageism. So people would say, kids act immature, like something that happens often when kids are younger. It'd be based on even gender. So if a girl is, friends with a guy, you know, or there's a certain amount of closeness that they feel or whatever, they automatically think, oh, that means that she wants to, do it with him, and or she likes him, oh, she has a crush on him. Adults do the same thing. So my story is based upon something totally different. It may sound like that, but actually, when I had first met Bleep and I had felt that connection was actually in 2019. We had this conversation. I didn't even know what he looked like. I didn't actually see Bleep until sometime last year on video chat. But anyways, it was based upon his words and just feeling comfortable. So one thing, just like I said, people don't may not understand, and many probably don't, is a relationship between a female and male. That's always seen as like, ooh, that means that they like him. But in this case, even I was surprised because he was the first person that I actually felt comfortable talking to and actually enjoyed talking to. I felt safe with, and okay, well, we'll be going into more detail because I'm going to read something that I had just recently wrote based upon this. So, that's where the lies started coming out. Believe it or not, this had come out even earlier, a long time ago when I was still trying to escape my abusers. You know, People that didn't even really know him, even on the outside, if they read my stuff or if I had described my situation and what happened, they're automatically, oh, you like him, just because I gave him a gift, they're like, oh, he's gonna think you like him, and I was like, what, even then I was like, huh, even a friend that has a mental health degree, oh, do you like so and so? I just kept on going along with that. I was like, because I didn't know how to explain it, and it was like I already knew that people were gonna, continue thinking that, and even the person who wants me to publish this book and wants to help me do it, even my writing style was kind of like new to her because she doesn't write like me, and even she thought that too, and I was like, I didn't know how to explain it, but that's where I'm gonna get to explaining it and how this person, became so sentimental to me and how, it ended up being the way it is and how it affected me, so badly. So I'm gonna do this in, more than one part because it's gonna be pretty long. But the first part, I'm gonna read you the story. Now, again, it's like, it brings me back. It's like when you meet someone, a guy, and you're attracted, you think of their, body. I'm gonna have to bring up a story that's kind of funny. I had to do a presentation in my class. You know, my teacher, who was my favorite teacher, and that's because he was creative like me in the way he taught. And actually, I learned the best way that way. And it was kind of funny. I was up there giving my presentation, and one of the words that I would have to say as part of that topic, as an example of that part, was sex. I, it was so funny because I was standing up there giving the presentation, and I was going through all the words and examples, and I go to that one. I'm like, I just like pause, like I couldn't even say that word, sex. Okay, and Dr. Dyer was sitting in the back, watching, and he already knew I felt like I couldn't get it out, so I just said, I'll just skip that one really quickly and went to the next word, example, and he just giggled. So, anyways, most people, they're saying that, oh, I was, I guess thinking he wanted to, but what's funny is when I, talk to him, let's just say that bleep, oh my goodness, that's his name. Anyways, that bleep didn't even come to my mind, those parts or any of that, So that's not what I was, thinking of when I spoke with him. And, anyways, bleep, anyways. Okay, that's not something I even want to. Anyways, so my story, even with the way I will read it and how I express my words, many would think, oh my goodness, yeah, that's just how I am. I'm very expressive, even in my words and the way I say it, even if it's not my own story. It's just how I even read it. Even when I'm by myself, that's just how I am. I'm very creative in that way. So, first, I will read the story, and then in another part, I'll be explaining it based upon my relation with unshorn, well, bleep. So, on with the story. The mirror of reality. The mirror that showed me the person who I really am was a man that resembles who I had been hiding deep within my soul. This one man resembled so many characteristics that I myself had hidden and didn't even know. For it was this one man who not only showed me that mirror of hope, but ended up destroying my heart and soul more than one will ever know. Publicly Dyrest was this man who also wore a cage that hid his heart and soul from the rest of the world. Publicly Dyrest one night had taken off that cage of preservation when he showed up at the dark tunnel with no escape. Publicly Dyrest was magically taken by a whirlwind of reality that not only frightened him, but opened up his eyes to what he himself saw could be the one thing that he wished he could be. This dark tunnel with no escape was where a woman named Fear Enmity was being held hostage by the ones most would deny could ever be. Fear Enmity looked outside her caved-in window and saw this mirror that was a mystical entity of everything she had always dreamed to be. A whirlwind of stardust had rapidly blown into the tiny caved window from this unknown mystical entity that came from the one place Fear Enmity never dreamed she herself could ever be. Publicly Dyrest at the time was also this mystical entity that he himself has never seen. For he himself was a soul that pondered the dream of being what he always wished he could be. This dream had only been just what seems to be nothing but a delusionary, mythical, and visionary that seemed pointless to ever bother trying to achieve. For enmity then heard Publicly Darest yell out to her, assuring that he is who he claims to be. For enmity then was hit by a whirlwind of trust dust that gave her the courage to open up in a way that was most shocking, feeling that she never could ever be. For enmity then took off her cage of preservation and crawled out of the dark tunnel with no escape. For the first time in her life, Publicly Darest reassured Fear Enmity that he was real and had no intention to ever deceive in the ways she had always seemed to be. For Enmity always seen every single person as nothing but a constant danger that would only cause more damage to where it was pointless to ever be cageless in a way that she could be free. For Enmity looked at Publicly Darest with only the thought that he was nothing but an entity with a mask that she had always seen as the wall of deceit and betrayal that would never have the ability to ever be one she could open up to in a way where she'd feel safe and free. For not only was Publicly Darest a person, but this person was also the gender of what seemed to be nothing but emptiness and deceit, wrapped up in a body that was different from she. Publicly Darest then whisked out his magical sword and placed the spell of delusionary hope and trust onto Fear Enmity. It was then that magical spell ended up bouncing off Fear Enmity back onto Publicly Darest in a way that scared him, that he never imagined to be. Publicly Darest did the one thing he always kept hidden from the rest of the world to see. Fear Enmity, for the first time, had a natural instinct of trust and hope in ways that she had always seen as being impossible to ever feel or be real. Publicly Darest had also felt in a way he never dreamed could be. Fear Enmity and Publicly began to open up in ways that others had never seen. For they both have always worn their cage around others that covered their inner soul that they themselves never knew could be. Both Publicly Darest and Fear Enmity were filled with shock and a feeling of serenity that's so positively fulfilling, yet at the same time was the scariest thing that they both had always seen to end up causing nothing but a heart filled with endless pain from backstabbing entities, filled with nothing but betrayal and deceit. Publicly Darest suddenly felt an enormous amount of fear and quickly grabbed his preservation cage and ran away while yelling out to Fear Enmity that he was in total dismay and needed to jump into the shower of mistrust because it was the only way he knew how to be. Fear Enmity, at the same time, just knew that was the last chance for her to ever get that feeling that seemed so impossible to ever be. That's right. I'm very expressive. Now, that's a problem in the mental health field too, is people think that they'll understand just based off of a book. You know, just what, like, people have their norms in society as to what they see as, a comfort zone, as like, yeah, it's impossible for a female and a male to have a close relationship, like a friendship, like a female would with a female, you know, or it means this or that, everybody has their own, even a friend that's a mental health professional had assumed that too. I didn't know how to explain it myself, believe it or not. So I kind of went along. I was like, yeah, okay, I guess so, yeah, Yeah, it's like, because I don't want to sit there and explain. I myself was using that personal experience because it was something sentimental that actually helped me along the way. Not just with his words of wisdom, but just everything that happened. It really opened my eyes to reality and everything else, which I will be explaining in the next part based upon what I just wrote, to explain what I just wrote and how it applies to how Bleep had actually helped me and why it's sentimental to me and why it affected me so negatively, how everything had turned out to be. So, see you in the next run of this for the next part. And I'm Shelley Rothus, and I'm a different kind of victim. See you for the next part.